The new maid on Station 12. The silence on Station 12 was more than just quiet, it felt empty. Floating in deep orbit beyond Jupiter, the old maintenance station hadn't had a full crew in over 2 years. Now, only one human remained, Jack Haynes. A systems engineer in his late 30s was used to solitude. His job was to keep the station running: power, oxygen, gravity, basic system checks. It was supposed to be boring, safe, but recently strange glitches had started. Doors opened without being touched. Lights flickered for no reason. The oxygen alarms beeped at 3:12 a.m. every night, but the system said everything was fine. Jack filed reports. HQ said it was a minor bug and sent help, though not the kind he expected. A small shuttle arrived at Dock C with no pilot. Instead, it carried a crate marked Automated Biomaid Model. Nary X9 Cleaning and Support Unit. Jack raised an eyebrow. A cleaning maid. The crate hissed open. Out stepped the tiniest living creature Jack had ever seen. She was barely 90 centimeters tall. Her skin shimmered like soft, silver-blue metal. She had 4 fingers on each hand, delicate glowing lines on her cheeks, and large, curious purple eyes. 2 slim antennae poked out from her silky white hair, and a fluffy tail swayed behind her. She blinked, then bowed. Designation: Nari, assigned to domestic duties. I will begin cleaning now. Jack stared. Use single quotes, the maid. Yes, human Jack. Please do not step on me. Jack chuckled, unsure whether to laugh or worry. Still, the place could use a cleaning. For the next few hours, Nari worked quickly. She moved fast, hovering slightly above the floor, dusting, sweeping, even polishing wires. She hummed softly in a language Jack didn't understand. Oddly, every place she cleaned began to smell faintly of lavender and ozone. By the time night came, Jack was impressed. The place looked better than it had in months. Not bad, he said. You earned your recharge. Nari looked up at him. Blinking, I do not require recharge yet. I will clean the crew quarters next. Jack waved her off. Those rooms are empty. Nothing there but dust and storage. She still went. Jack sat in the control room, sipping lukewarm coffee, watching the security monitors. Nari entered the old crew section. Her figure disappeared down the hallway. 20 minutes passed. Then a scream, high-pitched, sharp, from the quarters hallway. Jack jumped to his feet and bolted down the corridor. He reached the room where the scream had come from and burst through. The door. Nari stood in the middle of the room, frozen. She didn't move. Her tiny arms were shaking. Her glowing eyes were wide, staring at something near the far wall. Jack followed her gaze. There was a blanket on the floor. Nothing else, just ... a blanket. What happened? Jack asked, looking around. Are you hurt? She shook her head slowly. Her voice was quiet, trembling. Something moved under that. Jack frowned. It's a blanket, Nari. No, something was inside it. It moved. It watched me. Jack sighed and walked over. He picked up the blanket. Nothing, just dust and a cold metal floor. There's nothing here, he said. NAR. I didn't look convinced. I sensed it. It had hunger. Jack rubbed his forehead. Okay, maybe it was static from the air vent. Or maybe he stopped talking. Because just then, the lights flickered. All of them, just for a second. And on the security screen in the hallway, static flashed only for one moment, topped the exact time Nari had screamed. Jack stared at the screen. That's weird. Nari backed up slowly. I will not clean this. Room again. Fine, Jack said, still watching the screen. Let's get some rest. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her scream, the way she froze. The static. He finally drifted off sometime after midnight. Then the dreams came. He saw a long corridor, darkness, something whispering in a strange tongue. A flicker of movement in the shadows. He woke up sweating, but the worst part was there. Was something on his hand, a symbol, drawn in glowing green ink. He didn't remember drawing it. Looked like an eye inside a circle, with lines crossing through it like claws. Jack ran to the sink and washed it off. The ink vanished easily. He turned. Nari was standing silently in the hallway outside his room. She was watching him. "Don't go near that room again," she whispered. Not alone. The thing under the blanket Jack didn't speak for the rest of the morning. He kept staring at the strange symbol that had appeared on his hand. It was gone now, washed away, like dirt, but something deep inside told him it wasn't just a dream. He avoided the crew quarters completely. Nari stayed close to him. She didn't hum like before. Her glowing eyes kept scanning the shadows, her small hands gripping a metal cleaning rod as if it were a weapon. Jack tried to act normal. He checked the systems, fixed a broken panel, and ran a full diagnostic on the station's sensors. Everything showed normal, but it didn't feel normal. At 3:12 p.m., the lights flickered again. Not just one bulb, the whole station, just for 1 second. Then it stopped. Nara's ears twitched. Jack asked, "That same time again?" She nodded slowly. Same pattern. Same presence. Jack rubbed his jaw. Presence. Ari looked up at him. "The thing you do not believe." "In the shadow thing, it is real." Jack raised an eyebrow. "You really believe something is on this station?" "I do not believe," she said softly. "I know." Jack didn't want to argue. He decided to check the camera feeds again. He rewound the footage from earlier. When the lights flickered, he froze the frame at re-12, and there it was. In the corner of the frame, barely visible through the static, was a shape. Tall, slender. Its edges were blurred, like smoke. It stood near the hallway door, almost human-shaped. But wrong. Twisted, then it vanished in the next frame. Jack's skin went cold. He showed the image to Nari. She didn't flinch. "That is it," she said. "The hunter." Jack looked at her, uneasy. "You called it?" "A shadow thing." She nodded. "We call them Velrith. They are born in dead light. Feed on silence. Follow fear." Jack leaned back. "And what do they want?" Nari looked at the camera. "They want to live inside others." Jack turned off the screen. "All right, let's say it's real. Why now? Why this station?" "This place is old," Nari replied. "It has seen fear, pain. Those emotions open doors. Weak walls let them in." Jack remembered the old research logs, the ones about missing crew. One man had vanished during night shift. Another had fallen into a coma. It was never explained. Maybe it was connected. Maybe it was this thing. "Can you fight it?" Ask. Nar was quiet for a long time. "No," she said. "Not yet." That night, Jack locked his room. He sealed the door, turned off the lights, and sat with a plasma cutter beside his bed. But still, he couldn't sleep. Then something moved, not in the room. Inside the wall, a soft thump. Then a scratch, like nails dragging across metal. He sat up quickly. Then he heard Neri's voice speaking softly from the hallway. Jack opened the door. She was kneeling on the floor, drawing with glowing powder. Strange symbols circled the hallway. Lines crossed, dots, spirals. "What are you doing?" he asked. She didn't look up. "Marking wards. They will hide us." "Hide us from what?" "From its eyes." Jack looked around. "Where did you get that powder?" "I made it," she said. "From heat dust, crushed charge cells, and salt." Jack crouched beside her. "You've seen these things before?" Nari finally looked at him. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "My planet was lost because of them. We thought they were stories. By the time we believed, half our cities were shadows. Jack felt a chill. He looked around the hallway. No movement, no sound. But it was too quiet. The kind of silence that pushes on your ears. It's the kind that watches you. "Nari," Jack said, "what if it's still in the room? The one with the blanket?" She stood up. Then it must be sealed. They walked back to the crew quarters together. Jack unlocked the door remotely, keeping his hand near the emergency lockdown button. The blanket was still on the floor. Nothing had changed. They stepped inside. Slowly, Jack walked around the room, scanning every corner. He saw no movement, but then the air shifted, like something exhaled. Nari froze. Jack turned quickly and saw it just for a second. A ripple in the air, like a figure made of heat. It stood near the wall. Watching them, Jack shouted, "There?" Nari reacted fast. She threw the powder in the air. The glowing dust clung to something invisible. The creature screamed, a sound like knives. Scraping glass, the walls shook. Then it vanished into the vents, leaving the powder scattered and sizzling on the floor. Jack stared at the empty room. He wasn't dreaming anymore. It was real. Nari grabbed his hand. "We must find its nest," she said, "before it finds yours." Nari's secret warnings, Jack couldn't. Stopped shaking. The scream of that creature, if it could even be called a scream still, echoed in his ears. It hadn't sounded like an animal. It hadn't sounded like a machine either. It had sounded wrong. He sat in the control room, breathing hard, staring at the glowing powder still stuck to his boots. Nari sat beside him, silent, her knees pulled up to her chest. Her tail was curled tightly around her legs. She looked more like a scared child than a tiny alien maid. Jack finally spoke. "You didn't come here to clean, did you?" She didn't answer. He looked at her, serious now. "You were sent here because of that thing." Nari nodded slowly. Jack sighed. "So what is it really? What are we dealing with?" She stood up and walked to the glass wall of the control deck. Stars floated outside, silent and endless. Nari placed her small hand on the glass. "We call them Velrith, the Shadowlings, born in broken dimensions, places where reality is thin. They feed on fear, confusion, pain." Jack frowned. "How did one end up here?" Nari looked back at him. "It didn't just come, it was kept." Jack's face hardened. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then tapped the terminal screen with one glowing finger. "There's a hidden file, under a command path labeled Project Deep Halo." Jack typed quickly, breaking through old admin locks. Hidden deep in the station's archive, he found a folder. Inside were sealed logs marked top secret. He opened the first one. Log 47. Subject Delta Velrith type captured on Zaro's moon during psychic surge. Unstable behavior. Can't be seen by human eyes. Observation continues. Another log, Log 59. 2 crew members found comatose. Psychic wave detected. Subject reacts to strong emotional energy. Project suspended. Jack leaned back. "They knew," he muttered. "They brought it here to study it. Then they left it behind." Nari's voice was quiet. "Not all of them left." Jack looked at her. "What?" She pointed at a corrupted video clip. Jack played it. It was a grainy feed from the hallway outside the crew quarters. A man in a white lab coat stood still, staring at something off-screen. His eyes were wide, mouth open. Then, without warning, his body twisted. Bones cracked. He collapsed like a puppet with its strings cut. The screen glitched. The next frame showed only a dark shape flickering in the corner. Jack felt sick. That thing killed him. "No," Nari whispered. "It took him." Jack blinked. "Took him." She nodded. "It eats fear." but it also hides in minds. It can break a person's thoughts. It can wear them like skin. Jack stood up so it could be inside someone, like a parasite. Nari looked up at him. Not inside anyone. Not yet, but it's hunting. Jack paced. Then we need to kill it. Nari tilted her head. You can't shoot it. You can't stab it. You can't even touch it. It's not made like you or me. Jack rubbed his temples. Then how do we stop it? She stepped closer, her voice lower. There's only one way. You must see it. Jack blinked. See it? Really see it? She said. With your mind, not your eyes. Jack stared at her. You mean? Like telepathy? Tari nodded. Your kind isn't trained. But maybe. Maybe I can help open your vision. Jack raised a brow. That sounds dangerous. She looked up at him, serious. More dangerous to stay blind. There was a pause. Then Jack nodded once. Okay, let's do it. Nari pulled a small crystal from her belt pouch. It was pale green and hummed softly in her hands. Sit, she said. Jack sat on the floor. Nari placed the crystal in his palm and placed her tiny hands on the sides of his head. She whispered in her own language, words smooth and ancient. The crystal began to glow. Jack's eyes closed. He felt warmth, then cold, then nothing. Darkness, then came the whispers. Voices. Thousands of them, echoing in every direction, crying, laughing, screaming. Jack tried to pull away, but he couldn't move. Suddenly, a face appeared in the darkness, twisted, eyeless, grinning with too many teeth. It lunged. Jack opened his eyes. Gasping for breath, he was back in the control room, shaking. Nari sat beside him, looking pale. You saw it, she said. Jack nodded, sweating. Yeah, I saw it. It's hiding, in the walls. Watching, waiting. Nari nodded. Now, it knows. You can see it too. Jack stood up. His hands clenched into fists. Then let's find it. Asterisk trapped with the unknown, the station was too quiet. After the mind link ritual, Jack felt like a different person. He had seen something no human should ever see, and now he couldn't stop seeing it. Even with his eyes open, the images flashed in his mind. Shadows that moved without light. A presence that followed like smoke. Nari sat near the door, sharpening. A tiny curved blade with steady hands. She hadn't spoken much since the ritual. Jack knew why. The Velrith now knew he could see it, and that made him its next target. Jack opened the terminal to check the external comms. Nothing. Still jammed. He muttered, the system won't let any signal leave the station. It's like we're trapped inside a steel coffin. Nara's voice was calm but firm. It has locked us in. Jack turned. You're saying that thing is controlling the station? Part of it? Yes, she said. It learns technology fast. It doesn't need to understand every part to infect the code. Like a sickness. Jack narrowed his eyes. A psychic virus. She nodded. Exactly. A sudden bang echoed through the ceiling. They both looked up. Something was crawling in the vents. Jack grabbed a scanner. We need to flush it out. It's using the duct system. Nari stood. We cannot hunt it in darkness. We need light. Strong light, real heat. Jack checked the storage logs. There's a plasma coil in the backup generator room. It can produce thermal bursts. Might be enough to hurt it. Nari smiled slightly. Then we go together. They moved through the corridors carefully. Jack led with a plasma cutter in one hand, scanner in the other. Nari followed silently, her blade glowing with faint blue light as they passed the old cargo hall. Jack paused. The scanner blinked just once. Something had passed by too fast to track. NAR. I hissed quietly. It's watching. Lee reached the backup generator room. Jack started unlocking the heavy door, fingers tapping fast on the code pad. Suddenly, the lights flickered, then turned red. Nari stepped closer. It's near. Jack finally got the door open. Inside, the generator chamber was still and dusty. The large plasma coil sat in the middle, untouched since the last maintenance team. Jack walked in. Nari hesitated. She sniffed the air. Double quotes, Jack. Dot. Wait, but it was too late. The door slammed shut behind them. Jack turned around. What the? He tried the controls. Locked. Even emergency override failed. Nari pressed her hand to the wall. It trapped us. This whole room is under its control. Jack checked his scanner. Nothing too quiet. He stepped toward the plasma coil and opened the main hatch. Just then a whisper from the corner. Jack froze. He turned slowly. There was no one there, but the whisper came again, closer this time. It was right beside his ear. He spun around, slamming his back to the wall, breathing hard. Nari raised her blade. It's not attacking yet. It's playing. Jack clenched his jaw. It's trying to break me. Suddenly, the wall next to him warped. It didn't melt, shifted like fabric. A shadow pushed through it, stretching toward him like a reaching hand. Jack shouted and fired the plasma cutter. A sharp hiss. The beam hit the wall, and for a second, the creature screamed. A shape flickered. Tall, thin, wrong. Then it disappeared. Into the ceiling, the lights snapped back to white. The door unlocked with a hiss. Jack stepped back, heart pounding. Nari walked over, putting a hand on his arm. You heard it. Plasma burns its presence. Jack looked at the coil. Then we turn this whole station into a furnace. They began moving fast. Jack rewired the plasma coil into the ventilation system. If it worked, they could send a heat burst through every duct at once. Nar carved runes into the walls with her blade. These symbols will trap its movement. It can't pass through sacred lines. Jack nodded, sweat on his forehead. Let's light this place up. But before they activated the system, the main screen flashed. A face appeared. Not a real face. It was Jack's face, but wrong eyes, black. Smile, wide. Mouth moving in slow motion. It spoke in Jack's own voice. Why are you hurting me? Jack stepped back. That's not me. The fake Jack tilted its head. She's lying to you. She brought me here. Jack looked at Nari. She stayed silent. The fake on screen kept speaking. Ask her what happened to her team. Ask her why she's the last one. Jack turned. Nari, is that true? Her eyes lowered. My last team tried to fight it. They didn't survive. You didn't tell me that. You wouldn't have helped if I did. Jack didn't answer. The screen blinked off. Silence. Again, Nari whispered, don't let it inside your mind. Jack took a deep breath, then pressed the activation button. The entire station shook. Heat pulsed through the vents. Screeches echoed in every corridor. The creature was on fire, but it wasn't dead yet. The hunt begins. The screams didn't sound human. They twisted through the metal walls of the station like fire through dry grass. Even with the vents glowing from the plasma heat, the creature, the Velrith, was still alive. Barely, but alive. Jack stood in front of the terminal, breathing hard. His hands trembled slightly. Beside him, Nari stared at the scorched vent pipe, her silver blue skin reflecting the emergency lights. I don't think it liked that, Jack said. Nari gave a small nod. We made it weak, but now it's angry. She walked slowly toward the hallway, her tail twitching with alertness. The air smelled different now, like burned metal and wet stone. It wasn't just heat anymore. It was fear, and it was everywhere. Jack followed her through the corridor. We can't run forever. We need to end this. You said it hides in mind sweat. Does that mean? Exactly? Nari glanced back. It enters thought. Memory? It tries to make you doubt everything. And if you fall, it becomes you. Jack thought of the fake image on the screen earlier. His own face talking to him. Lies, confusion, tricks. He clenched his jaw. Then we trap it in reality. Somewhere it can't escape. There's only one place on this station with walls strong enough, Nari replied. The deep lab. Frowned. The lab under level 3. That area's locked. Sealed years ago. It was sealed to keep it in, she said. They moved quickly, reaching a thick steel hatch labeled Biocontainment Section 9. Jack forced the lock open with a plasma torch while Neri drew protective marks on the walls. The door groaned as it opened. Behind it, stairs led downward into the dark. Jack turned on his flashlight. The walls here were blackened, scratched, old. Dried blood was visible near a broken console. Looks like someone tried to fight. Jack muttered. No, Nari whispered. They tried to run, but it was already inside. They reached the main chamber. It was wide, cold, and full of broken glass chambers. This was where the Valrith had once been studied, maybe even trapped. Jack walked to the center, where a round platform stood with faded symbols etched into it. This could work, he said. We lure it here, trap it inside. And how will we lure it? Nari asked. Jack looked down. Me. Nari shook her head immediately. It already touched your mind. If it enters again, it won't leave. Jack met her eyes. I'm the only one it's watching now. If we wait too long, it'll hide deeper or worse try to get off the station. She looked away. I don't want to lose another one. Jack put a hand on her shoulder. Then help me do this right. They spent hours prepping the chamber. Nari used the last of her powder to draw glowing wards in a perfect circle. Jack installed a high-energy containment field linked to the power core. If it failed, the station would go into meltdown, but if it worked, it would trap the creature like a cage of light. Jack stood in the center. Nari handed him a small charm. Keep this. It shields your mind. For a while, he nodded. Oh, what? Do I do? Let it come, she said softly. The room went silent, then dark and cold. Jack's breath became visible. The flashlight flickered. Then he saw it. A shape in the doorway, flickering like flame. No face, no skin. Just a shifting shadow, almost human, but broken. It stepped forward. Jack felt a sharp pain in his head, like knives behind his eyes. The creature didn't move fast. It glided. It whispered. You are alone here. Jack held the charm tightly. She lied to you. She always lies. Jack gritted his teeth. You're not real. You're just a parasite. You brought me here. Jack, you let me in. Shut up. The chamber lights flared. The glowing symbols on the floor ignited. The Velreth screamed. Jack fell to his knees, holding his head. Blood ran from his nose. Now, Nari, he yelled. She hit the activation switch. The containment field exploded in light. The creature flailed, turning visible for the first time long limbs, eyeless head. A body like smoke, trapped in glass, it roared. The station shook. Panels burst. Sparks flew. But it couldn't move past the circle. Jack crawled out of the trap. Coughing, Nari pulled him up just as the doors sealed. They watched the thing slam again and again into the glowing walls of light. We got it, Jack said, his voice shaking. Nari didn't smile. She just stared. For now, Asterisk bait and trap the Velrith slammed against the glowing walls again and again. Each impact made the chamber tremble. Jack and Nari stood behind a reinforced shield panel outside the containment zone, watching the creature writhe in rage. It looked more solid now. That was the problem. Jack wiped blood from his lip and checked the containment readings. It's getting stronger. Neris's tail twitched nervously. It's feeding on the station's energy. The trap is holding, but not for long. How long do we have? She didn't answer. Jack looked back through the window. The creature's shape flickered faster now. Claws, bones, smoke. Its form kept changing like it didn't know what shape to wear. It wanted out. It wanted Jack. It knows me now, he said. It won't stop. Neri looked up. Then we end it. Now, Jack raised an eyebrow. You know how? She nodded. I remember what my last team didn't finish. The Velreth can't be killed in your world, but it can be forced back into the tier it came from. Jack blinked. The tier, a wound between dimensions, she explained. They slip through it. But if we open it again, we can send it back before it becomes permanent. Jack stepped back from the window. All right, how do we open it? Nari's voice dropped. With a ritual. A high-frequency psychic burst. But it needs a focus. Something it's attached to. Jack paused. Me. She looked down. Yes. He exhaled slowly. And what happens to the focus? It depends. She whispered. If your mind is strong, you survive. If not, then the Velrith wins. Nari said nothing. Jack looked at the control panel. Tell me what to do. Nari placed a small crystal similar to the one she used in the mind. Ritual into the center socket of the terminal. She began tracing patterns on the screen, entering a code in her alien script. The lights dimmed. The station's hum turned into a deep throb. Nari looked up. When I activate the pulse, you'll feel it everywhere. It will try to reach your thoughts again. Try to convince you it's real, but it's not. Hold on to me. Remember who you are. Jack looked her in the eyes. Got it. She gave him the charm again. Don't drop this. Jack stepped back into the chamber. The Velrith hissed. It backed away. Then crept forward, testing the glowing walls. Jack stood in the center, hands clenched. I'm here, he said. Come get me. Nari activated the pulse. The world exploded. Not with light but with pressure. It felt like gravity reversed. The walls bent inward. The lights twisted. The floor flickered like static on a screen. The Velrith screamed. Then everything went black. Jack floated in nothing. He wasn't in the chamber anymore. He was back in his room. At home on Earth, he saw his mother, his dog, the rain hitting the window, his childhood toys. A normal day. But something was off. The shadows were too long. The faces too still. Everything was watching. Then his mother spoke, but in the Velrith's voice. Stay here. It's safe. You never left. That girl lied. The station isn't real. Jack turned. The room melted. He was in the crew quarters. Then back in the lab, then on a beach, voices screamed, laughed, called him by name. You are nothing, you are mine. Let go. He dropped to his knees. The charm burned in his hand. He held it tighter. Nari, he whispered. Focus on Nari. A light broke through the dark. A single glowing line. Then another. They formed a circle. Jack stood in the middle again. The Velrith was in front of him, its real form cracked. Burning, twisted like 1,000 shadows stitched. Into one it lunged. Jack shouted. Raised the Charmand, the circle exploded in light. The station's true walls returned. Jack fell backward as the Velrith screamed, burning from the inside out. A black hole opened behind it, a swirling tear of reality. Glowing like lightning in water, the creature thrashed, clawed at the walls, but Nera's symbols held. The tear pulled harder. With a final roar, Velrith was sucked into the rift. gone. The tear sealed with a blinding flash. Silence. Jack lay on the floor, gasping, hands trembling. Nari rushed to him, kneeling at his side. His eyes fluttered open. Did we do it? He asked. She nodded slowly. Yes, it's over. But before they could celebrate, the alarms blared. Jack turned to the terminal. The station core was failing. Too much energy had been drained. The plasma coil was overheating. Containment power was dropping fast. He stared at the warning. Core. Meltdown in 4 o'clock. Jack pulled himself up. We need to get out of here. Nari looked toward the escape pods. There's only one left. Then we run, he said. They grabbed emergency packs and sprinted through the shaking halls. Fires sparked, lights died. The station groaned like it was screaming. They reached the pod bay with 30 seconds to spare. Jack slammed the hatch shut as the pod launched into space from the small window. They watched as Station 12 burned bright, then shattered in a silent burst of light. Gone. Nar. I leaned against Jack's shoulder, breathing hard. He looked at her, tired but smiling. We survived. She nodded. But now, others may come. Jack stared into space. Then, we'll be ready. A promise in the ashes. The escape pod drifted in silence. Stars stretched forever in every direction. And the remains of Station 12 faded into the darkness, behind them just glowing fragments now. Slowly cooling in orbit. Inside the pod, Jack sat. On the floor, head tilted back against the wall, eyes half closed. Nari was beside him, curled up with her tail wrapped around her legs, breathing softly. Neither of them spoke for a while. What could they say? They had seen something no one would believe, fought something that shouldn't exist, and survived something no human or alien was supposed to walk away from. Jack finally broke the silence. We're lucky. Nari opened her eyes. No. We were ready. He chuckled weakly. Maybe. She sat up slowly and looked at him with her glowing violet eyes. You still see it, don't you? In your mind, he nodded. Not like before. It's like a shadow behind my thoughts. A scar. She leaned forward. That scar will protect you. You faced it. It can't take you again. He looked out the window. What about the others? You said more could come. Nari nodded. If one tear opened, others might too. The Velrith feed on chaos. The universe is full of it. Jack sighed. Then we need to make sure no one else is unprepared. Nari tilted her head. You want to fight them? Jack looked at her. I want to make sure no one else is alone like we were. The pod's console beeped softly. A signal. Nari crawled to the screen. We're close to the Mars relay network. A patrol will hear us. Jack sat up straighter. Good. Let's get picked up. Tell someone what happened. Nari hesitated. What? He asked. She looked at him carefully. Do you think they'll believe us? Jack frowned. Would Earth Command accept a story about a living shadow from a forgotten alien lab? About a cleaning maid who wasn't just a maid, and a man who stared into the darkness and didn't break? He shrugged. Probably not. Nari sat back. They might silence us. Jack gave a tired smile. Let them try. The console pinged again. A voice broke through the speaker, static filled, but clear. Escape pod, Echo 12. This is patrol ship Orion. Do you copy? Jack leaned forward. Orion, this is Echo 12. 2 survivors. Requesting immediate recovery. Priority, Alpha Red. Alpha Red, the voice repeated, confused. Please confirm. Jack's tone was firm. Confirm. Station destroyed due to hostile anomaly. Situation classified. We need extraction and full quarantine. There was a pause. Then, understood. ITA, 18 minutes. Hold tight. Jack leaned back. Help is coming. Nari didn't relax. She looked out the window again. The universe is so big, so full of things your people haven't seen yet. He followed her gaze. You said your planet fell, he said quietly. 2 creatures like that. She nodded. The Velrith didn't come alone. They never do. Once they break a tier, others follow. Worse ones. Jack didn't answer. He just stared at the stars. Then he said, what if we don't just wait for them? What if we find the tiers before they open? Nari blinked. You mean hunt them? Jack looked at her. Yeah. Together. She tilted her head thoughtfully, then smiled a real one. Small but bright. That would make you the first human to join the Warden Circle. Warden Circle. We find the breaks. We seal them. Sometimes we fight. Sometimes we run. But always, we protect. Jack grinned. Then I guess I'm applying. The pod shook lightly as the Orion ship docked above them, magnetic clamps locked in. The hatch hissed open with a rush of air. 2 figures in sealed suits appeared at the door. Step forward slowly. One of them said, hands visible. Jack helped Nari up. They stepped into the light together. As the hatch closed behind them, Jack whispered, no more running. Nari looked up. No more cleaning either. He chuckled, but deep in the back of Jack's mind, a whisper still lingered, faint, cold. You saw me once. You'll see me again. Jack blinked, gone. Gone, he took a breath and stepped into the decontamination chamber. Outside, the stars watched silently. The fight was over, but the war had just begun.